danger.
What's up, y'all? This is Chiwing. Welcome to our podcast. Before we get into the episode, I wanted to just address or just acknowledge what's happening in the world, and that's not going to be the theme of the episode, but I do think it's important to just acknowledge the fact that we're going through something, and that, like, our podcast may or may not support you in you getting through this moment in history. But I hope that for the next hour or so, we can be of some sort of support to be able to take a break from that, and then hopefully you can re-engage with what's happening in the world, because it's shifting right now, and condolences and energy sent to all the folks that are experiencing the heaviness of police brutality and what it entails for communities of color. But for the next hour or so, I hope that our podcast can, alleviate some of that for you. And yeah, we're gonna have fun. But I'm gonna pass it off to One Kick so we can get started on this episode. I just wanted to acknowledge it, that we're not
oblivious.
We're not oblivious to what's happening in the world, and that our podcast is happening during this time.
Yeah, very well said, Chewing. We do kind of we have fun with this. We hope that this offers an escape. So yeah, very well said, Chewing. So yeah, welcome to the second episode of the Caffeine and Sensu Beans podcast. No need for introductions this time. We've all kind of gotten to know each other a little bit more since the last episode, or because of the last episode. So, Blessing, what do we got on the agenda today?
So today we are going to be discussing, after 2 years, has Legends lived up to its hype?
All right. You want to start
as far as
off?
from pre-release? As far as do I believe it has? I do. I think it's really pushed where mobile gaming has gone before anyone else has gone. They do face a lot of challenges. There's just some aspects of the game that not everyone's going to agree about, and they won't change it. I just don't see them altering that much in the game. Unfortunately, pulling units is part of whether the game, lives or dies. But I do feel like they've done a fair job with that. I do believe it has lived up to the hype. I personally think it's actually exceeded it.
Okay. Chewy, I'm curious to know what you think as a player who picked it up when it initially came, when it initially dropped, and it just ended up not being the game for you. So you dropped it for a while. You were on hiatus, and then you came back. Talk us through, what was the thought process, the reasoning for kind of you dropping the game and coming back?
Yeah, I remember when the game dropped. I remember because I was hella into Dokkan, so it was a natural kind of like succession, right? Because Dokkan was kind of, at least to me, it was like kind of coming to the end of it.
Right.
I lost my account, so that's unfortunate. It's a touchy subject for me. You know what I'm saying? Lost my account, but
condolences.
Yeah,
my condolences
R.I.P. R.I.P. I know that tag is still out there somewhere.
Well, from what I've heard, and a little birdie told me, that account is probably still active. It's just in other hands.
For real?
That's what I thought I heard.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. For real?
Well, the account doesn't die itself.
Yeah, no, but that's nuts because I have my phone stolen. So, that would actually make sense.
Yeah.
But, that's crazy. I did not know.
Well, we'd have to check, see the last login,
That's craziness. Well, hey, whoever has that account, it was a good account. It was an account that got me to the promised land. But anyways, I remember when the game dropped, and I put it. I think the biggest downfall for me, and I'm just looking back 2 years ago, and why I didn't keep going to the game is that I downloaded it on a tablet.
iPad. Oh, okay.
On a tablet. And when I was playing it on the tablet, it was hella hard to maneuver, and I would just get frustrated.
Right.
I was just like, okay, you know what? This game's
right.
dumb. So I'm like, and at the time, they also hadn't released. I mean, obviously, the game was just really young. So like I think the best unit at that time was the Super Saiyan Goku, the red one, the one that is Zenkai.
Yeah.
So that was like the best unit at the time, and I had them, but I didn't even know how it worked because this game.
Right.
That's the thing that I think one of my things with this game is like it has very little scaffolds for people, and I think that's where the game sometimes gets a little tricky, because if you don't know, or if you don't have the patience, it's hella frustrating because it doesn't really explicitly show you
Absolutely
how to play the game. So like I think that's kind of what happened to me, and like because I think Kame, right, the little fat blue dude, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you said
Kai?
Kami?
Kami, is that his name?
Kai?
Yeah,
King Kai.
The game uses hella text, you know what I'm saying? Like it makes you read a lot, and it's like I didn't have the patience. So, I mean, fast forward to now, I think that was like the biggest gripe with the game, is that like it didn't really teach me how to play the game. And then I think 2 years later, it still doesn't teach you how to play the game. So I think I think that's where it could get lost for some players. At least for me, like I feel like what helped me stay with it now is that I could ask you guys, because you guys are already in so deep into the game, that I can defer to you of like, oh, what's happening here? Like when Bless helped me with Soul Boost, I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. I remember him still showing me that. So when I think about two years back and like where the game has progressed, they've definitely added hella stuff. I mean, some stuff that like I think was in the initial game that are still there, and some things that that they've added,
or
but
they've changed.
Or they've changed. So I think that the game has lived up to it, but that doesn't mean that it's at the point where I think it's inviting to players to new players. I think that that's what they're trying to go for, but they need to do something to be able to invite new players, and it's not just pulling. Like I think that that's kind of what I'm kind of coming to terms with this anniversary of, like, pulling is a big part of the game, but there's another part of the game that I think that they don't do well, which is the scaffolding of how to actually play this game and how to play it effectively, which I don't think that they do. So I think that that's what I would say. It lives up to the expectations in the terms of, like, it really brings in the universe of Dragon Ball Z. It brings in all these cool aspects, and you have all these cool characters. But I think where it falls short is this aspect of how to actually play the game.
Yeah. And Bless, I know you said you also think it lived up to the hype. Actually, you think it exceeded it. What do you think was the main reason for it exceeding the hype?
For the very same reason that Chi Wing says, I like that they're always willing to modify how the game is played. Well, the latest one being that they nerf tackle, simply because it makes everyone have to change the way they play. It keeps the game fresh, so that way you're not playing the same exact way. What they're trying to do was eliminate. Well, I know why they added tackles. They're trying to eliminate people from sitting back and just countering.
Right.
So it's just this way now. It just changes it up. I've enjoyed the nerf of the tackle so far. I just think that for me, that's something that I know that you can never win every game. You have to accept that with this game. And I think that's a great challenge, and I accept that. I'm okay with that. There's some matches I'm just going to lose.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
the way it is. And I don't think that
really true.
Yeah, I just don't think that really. I mean, for me, as far as what a mobile game should be, or what they have been compared to what Legends done, to me, it's just head and shoulders over everybody else, even Dokkan.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot to say on this subject. So I'll get right to it. Do I think it's lived up to the hype? No. So I remember when this game was being talked about. This was around March, February of 2018. And I used to follow, or I still follow some of the big Dokkan YouTubers, but at the time I followed a few other ones. And I remember going on like Animated Muscles channel, Nanogenics, Rhyme Style, and in the comments I would see, "Oh, Dokkan's dead." Like R.I.P.
Mm-hmm.
Dokkan. This is the end of Dokkan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a sense of that, and people, I could see why, because people felt like Dokkan was A, getting stale, B, getting power crept, and C, the gameplay wasn't dynamic enough to where it didn't engage you.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of hype around this game. I remember tuning into the live stream of the demo when they were demonstrating it here in the Bay Area. And in the comments, you could just see everything like RIP Dokkan. And it was really like, there was a sense that this game was gonna take Dragon Ball mobile games to new heights, and it was going to supersede Dokkan. 2 years later, that hasn't happened. I think if we're to be quite frank, I think they've found it disappointing that they haven't exceeded Dokkan's revenue growth. The way Dokkan generates revenue on units that aren't necessarily the hypest, but they still have allure to them. Legends can't counter. Legends can't respond to that. And so I think if you secretly asked, the Legends dev team, have they been disappointed with the way the games, in terms of revenue and goals, have they been disappointed in terms of how that's kind of gone? I think they'd say yes. Like I said, when it comes to getting first place in the App Store, it's not close. I mean, Dokkan gets it every single time they drop a hype unit or a Dokkan Fest, and Legends doesn't. I think one of the big tattletale signs of that was when they dropped Rose. I thought they were expecting. Rose, you have your heavy hitters, and we could say them right now: Vegeta Blue, Gogeta Blue, UI Goku, Rose, Super Saiyan 4s, and I might be missing one more, maybe Broly, and that's it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
those are the ones that are gonna definitely, when they come in, they have to hit top grossing.
That's going to
like,
be a spike in there.
yeah, exactly.
It has to be a spike.
It has to be, So those are non-negotiable in terms of getting top grossing, because it's not a question that if any of those units drop in Dokkan, they're getting, number one in the App Store in terms of grossing. So when they didn't hit top grossing with Rose, I think that was a disappointment for them. And I understand, they didn't make Rose an LF because they wanted to make him more accessible, I think, to the player base. Because if they made him an LF, then players were going to be salty because they weren't going to get him. And the fact that they didn't get top grossing with him, and the subsequent month after, they dropped the Zenkai thing. And Zenkai, when it was first announced, people thought it was going to be like Extreme Z Awakening in Dokkan, where old units become relevant again.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. What they do is units that they know can sell that are old, will get a Zenkai. They're not going to Zenkai, Ginyu, because he's not going to bring in any money. And because Zenkai, to fully Zenkai a unit, it's only accessible through paying. They have to make sure that the unit they put up for Zenkai brings in revenue. So why do I think it hasn't lived up to the hype? I think it lacks an identity. I think this is a PvP based game, and something Chiwin touched on earlier that I completely agree with is they don't make it easy for players to learn how to play. And what I'm saying with this is Dokkan knows what it is. It is a PvE based game. It's strictly PvE. They're not doing PvP. It's been out for 5 years. They said, they've implicitly said that there's no PvP here. And so Legends, because it's PvP based, they need to make sure that they're optimizing the PvP environment. What does that mean? There should be tutorials. They need to embrace all the tech that the player base has discovered. So charge step, key cancel, forward swipe, all these type of tackle, all these type of things, they need to have tutorials in the game for people to know how to do them.
How to
It
do that?
shouldn't,
Yeah,
yeah,
I completely agree.
you
Yeah,
know,
I
and so
completely agree. Mhm.
so the fact that this is a PvP based game, it inherently means that there's more skill involved as opposed to Dokkan where it's PvE and you can sit back, you have time, you can, move your rotation around and select who it is you want to go. Where here it's much more reactive. It's such a dynamic game. Every match, it's just different. It doesn't matter how, to a degree, it doesn't matter how good your game is, like how good your team is. The environment, the match is so dynamic that one mistake and you can be in a bad position. You can be compromised. So because it's so dynamic, you have to understand that means that more skill is required. More skill is required. You need to show your players how to acquire that skill, how to get
Mhm.
better, right? And so them not embracing that creates this gap between the players that are really good and pick it up intuitively and the players who can't pick it up and they can't bridge that gap. And so then they feel defeated when they go up against someone who's really good, someone who knows the tech. They're like, well, I don't know if I can. How do I close this gap? Like, how do I get there?
Yeah,
You
and the
know,
gap gets even further bigger when you release units that do other shit that you don't even know what the fuck's happening with it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like it gets even further. Like the gap
it
even
expands.
it,
Yeah,
it expands even further. Yeah, I'm hella with you on this.
yeah. And so I think, you know, Legends, what you should do is in your training mode, have a tutorial where you have Goku's training you on every single one. One is charge step, one is key cancel, one is forward swipe, one is switch and vanish. You know,
Mm-hmm.
these are techniques that are used in higher rank PvP that unless there is no
You're gonna need at
explicit,
least 3 of those 4 skills.
yeah, to get in high rank PvP. So, you know,
I agree
your
with that.
tutorials have to be more, they have to be more fleshed out. They have to be more meaty for people to be able to consume them and then be able to take those skills into practice. And I think them not doing that, it turns some players off, you know, and because it's easy. And Bless, I know you kind of felt this at one point, like where you didn't even want to touch PvP. You were just like,
Oh yeah, I mean that's when I first started though. It is overwhelming, but it's just part of it. Unfortunately, I mean, the only way to get better in this game is, well, as of right now, is just to play,
yeah,
watch YouTubers. Um, but yeah, I do agree that if they're gonna have uh, skills available, key cancel, charge step, side step, that's kind of self-explanatory. They should have tutorials where it breaks it down pretty thoroughly. So at
yeah.
that point, if the player base doesn't know how to use it, well, then that's on them.
Right. And because like I think about
But at
something.
least at
Go
least a
ahead.
chance to learn it, and I think that's where it's missed. Like it's not. It almost feels like Legends doesn't even acknowledge that stuff exists. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they're trying to act like it doesn't exist, and that doesn't play a big role in winning matches. Like I know that y'all say like you're gonna lose, but like the reality of it is that y'all probably win a lot more than you lose, or else you wouldn't have been, or else you wouldn't be where you're at. And I think that's
Yeah.
and I think without acknowledging that you probably have gotten there because of some of those skills that like as somebody like me that just started up again, I don't have those skills. Like I have to
So
I'm
how you
learning it.
get there?
How do I get
If
there?
we didn't exist, how would you get there?
Correct. Like without you, Bless, like I would have never known about the soul boost thing. I wouldn't have known about the vanishing thing. Like, and that's because you saw me and you're like, oh, you need to vanish here. You need to do this here. But like people are not getting that. You know what I'm saying? Like I tried to do that with a friend of mine the other day where I was like, I was trying to coach him. I was trying to play with him. And I'm like, oh, this is really hard to tell you how to do this stuff. And like,
Yeah.
it misses there. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah,
misses
there's a
there.
disconnect.
There's a disconnect there because like, well, one, the tutorial is kind of whack, and it's like and it's in this sense of, and it's in this thing where you're having players to just read hella stuff, and like, you know, as me, like that just it. I don't know. There's just a mark that's missed. I really feel that about that it hasn't lived up, and I think that that's really interesting about the fact that you're saying that it hasn't overtaken Dokkan, which is really kind of intense. Which I think if we really just pay attention to that fact that it still hasn't passed it, and like it's struggling to go up against, I guess, the big brother, I guess, in this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, and actually Dokkan had a resurgence, I would say, when Legends came out, because I'm sure they saw it also. Now, granted, this is all under Bandai, so they win
they don't
either
care.
way.
Yeah,
They
they're
don't
getting
care.
money either way. So,
But the
cool.
actual dev teams, they're probably like, holy my job's on the line. We gotta make sure we step up. And when they saw Legends coming out, and Legends, everything about Legends in terms of like gameplay, art, animations, I mean, it's top notch.
Way
Yeah, it's
above
top
Dokkan.
notch.
It looks cleaner. It looks better.
And so I'm sure they were like, it caught their eye when they saw a lot of people saying, Dokkan's dead, and they came out, new animations, new LRs,
new categories where you can combine crazy units that weren't able to be able to on the same team.
You could tell they pumped money into their animation. So they said, you know what? We're never going to be Legends in terms of, but we're going to make our animations the best we can. And so,
and they like, let's have a little competition between our.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good.
No, that's good.
It keeps people honest, and I think Legends. Yeah, and I think Legends was. Yeah, because prior to that, I mean, Dokkan was just riding the wave. The fact that it was the only mobile game, it was the biggest only Dragon Ball.
There was no real competition.
Game. Yeah, there wasn't. So it was resting on its laurels. But then here comes Legends, and there's been a clear distinction between pre-Legends and after Legends. But with all this said, and one of the other things I wanted to talk about too, and why I think Legends, it's Legends has not failed. I don't want to say that Legends has failed, because I don't believe it has. I think it's not a failure. It's done a really good job. Like Chiwin said, it brings together the different Dragon Ball universe, and it allows us to play with our favorite teams. But you need to understand you have a different game than Dokkan. Don't try to mimic Dokkan. So you have a different game. The base of your game is centered more or less around skill, and there needs to be an accessible way via your game to better those skills. And I think doing that will be, a step in the right direction. But yeah, I don't know, how you guys feel. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that. That's in a nutshell. There are a few other things I think that they've kind of missed the ball on. I personally think Rising Rush, it needs to be nerfed. But
I don't think so. I just think that mechanic alone bridges a big gap between free to play and pay to win, pay to play.
You for real? Like you think that Rising Rush equalizes it somehow?
Yeah, because I
totally disagree with you on this.
I mean, it's the quickest way, because once you start getting higher stars, and you go against a lower star level, they're gonna go straight for a Rising Rush and start to build up another one.
I mean, yeah, but that's the only thing but that's what I'm saying though. The gap is so wide that you have to have a mechanic like that in there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what that they won't change that. They won't remove that or anything. It's the simplest thing they can do to bridge, taking out a unit.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just seems like I mean, that's their fault though, because they've made the gap so wide now.
Well, I mean, bottom line, the game is designed to make money.
Yeah, but so I mean, you can't just have a product that's only worried about making money. Like, if that's your main thing, then then that's not going to lead to a conducive environment. So Rising Rush, the reason why I think it should be nerfed is because when you get two high-level players playing against each other, that match should be determined by who played that match better, not who got
Oh
their
yeah, they
Rising
should
Rush.
remove it. Like rank 50 and above, they should remove Rising Rush.
And the thing is, I'm not sure they can remove it now.
Just limit it to one per match.
They can try, they can try, but when they had that tournament last year to see who was the best player in Legends in Las Vegas, when they had that tournament in Vegas, they were the players, and granted, all these players were really good. They were farming Rising Rushes by doing like strike cancels constantly, strike cancel back up to get Dragon Balls. And that's not skill, that's just a hack. That's not determining who's the better player or who played better that match. That's just farming up a Rising Rush. And if you get, this is the worst case scenario, first 7 cards you draw, you get a Dragon Ball, and or your opponent gets all 7 Dragon Balls. He doesn't use it because he wipes out one of your characters, and so now you have 2 characters, and he has the Rising Rush in his back pocket. He's going to throw that thing, and he's going to cripple your team. It's going to be 3v1. It's going to be very difficult for you to come back. So high-level play, 2 high-level players, if they go up against each other, it should be determined by who played that match better. Now it's tricky because now, to Bless' point, I think, Bless, this is what you were saying, like, they need to have a mechanic where free-to-play players can, compete with pay-to-play to a degree so they can kill off a unit. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm saying like that's their, because the mechanic's already in there. Because you're trying to figure out how do we keep the people spending, trying to get 14-star units, but also satisfy the free-to-play. That's what I was saying. That's all I was saying is that RR, it just is going to help a free-to-play, because when you get a higher levels, for myself, I'm going to try not to use the Rising Rush.
Right.
Which sometimes backfires, but that's what you run into. People, once they get to higher level teams, they're like, I'm going to try not to use the Rising Rush.
Yeah.
And I get free-to-play. Like, free-to-play need to try to pop it as early as possible and start farming one ASAP.
Yeah.
It's not a cool tactic, but it has to be.
But that's the only tactic that, well, I guess a free to play player could use to survive.
It's possible, but here's the thing. Blessed and I, we've played matches where it's no Rising Rush. We don't use any Rising Rush. And those turn out to be more fun games than the ones where we're using Rising Rush. And I'm telling you, if you had the skill, if you closed that gap, that skill gap,
yeah,
you would have a much easier time winning, because skill is more conducive to getting you the win than the Rising Rush, in my opinion. So
it's also much more satisfying too. Like, I think
definitely,
if you actually feel like, okay, I lost, but I lost because that person, like, they beat me. There's a sense of like almost like gratitude, and I actually think that would actually shape the community differently too, like the community of Dragon Ball Legends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you're right. I think so too. I think it would create less saltiness amongst the community,
Yeah, because now it makes me think of like, why was Rising Rush even introduced? I guess it was just trying to be different than Dokkan.
I think, well, the thing is, I think because Dokkan has their Dokkan Attack, they wanted to have something that was like, Dokkan Attack is like that.
Build up to something.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. It's going to do crazy amounts of damage. They wanted that. But they should focus more on being like Dragon Ball Fighters. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Than Dokkan. And Dragon Ball Fighters, it's Bandai's best game in years. Because they focus so much on it being skill-based, and it's thriving. So
yeah, it looks really hard. looks really hard.
But there's a training environment where
oh,
you
really?
can, yeah, there's a training environment. So yes, there's a steep learning curve, but because they provide that training environment, you can get better. Um, and with me saying this, Legends can put in a whole tutorial for charge step, side step, all this stuff, and you could still go online and get scraped because that's just how the game is going to be.
Cookie
But that's
crumbles.
okay. If you see yourself actually going toe to toe, you see yourself improving, you're going to feel better about it. You're going to want to keep going. You're going to say, hey, I'm getting the hang of this. I got washed this time, but that's okay. I'm starting to, I see that now I can key cancel. I see now I can charge step or things like that.
Yeah, you're seeing
So
success. I mean, that's
yeah,
that's the basis of anything that you're learning, right? You're gonna feel better about something you're learning once you start seeing
progress.
some
Yeah.
sort of success. And I think that
Mhm.
that's where I'm just thinking back about my time when I first started playing this game, and like that's exactly what it is. Like the success, and I don't even think that it really necessarily falls on the players to feel like, oh, I suck at this game or whatever. But I just think that the game just missed in that aspect of
Yeah.
how to actually scaffold uh, these skills that they've implemented into the game that they don't teach you, and
Mhm.
that may or may not be where Bandai wants to be, but that's at least to me, like that's what that creates not I don't want to say a stigma, but it creates a sense of like, at least for me, a sense of frustration that I think that this game, I think if you're going to play this game, you're going to have to get frustrated with it. Like, I think that you're going to have to be able to get through with it. So I think,
Oh,
2 years later, I think I think that that's kind of one of the things that like, I think back at now of like, oh, I was frustrated back then. And I still find myself a little frustrated now. So that must
right.
mean that they haven't changed something about it within the last 2 years.
Yeah, they need to embrace this type of like skill that they have and put it out there, make it accessible for everyone in the player base. Obviously, particularly the new players, because they benefit the most from it, from having access to this and then getting better themselves. And then to your point, little by little, you'll see yourself having these small successes, and it'll let you know you're on the right track. You're making progress.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, but that doesn't mean I don't think Legends has been a failure. I think Legends has done a good job. It's had some peaks. It's had some high peaks. I think this anniversary is one of them. I think the way they started out with this anniversary, and a side note, Legends marketing team is second to none.
Oh
The
yeah,
way,
that marketing team is ridiculous.
yeah,
They're
that
they're like they're really good at
they
that.
are.
That's the thing that is crazy, that it's like they're really good at a lot
They
of
have
things.
everything to
Yeah,
have an
they are so
insane game.
good at a lot of things. And
No,
but this, I don't know, that one thing is the thing that I'm still harping on.
yeah, no, I agree. So, but this is I mean, I know, how do you guys feel about the second year anniversary? I think it's kind of unanimous that the first week's been really
Fire,
good.
fire.
Yeah, I mean, uh I hope that it stays like this. I think it will, but I think the first year's been really good. But Chiwina, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. This being your first anniversary, we did some summons earlier today. Um, you know, what are you kind of what are your senses? Let me
Yeah, I
hear it.
think this is my first anniversary, back, and I've actually really enjoyed it. I haven't really played PvP so far,
Yeah,
but I was just grinding the stones, and because I don't really want to spend money on the game, and I
smart
think
man.
that's what I would say to the listeners too, of like, you know, if you're just starting out, like, it's hella. I think to me, like, what was this? It was just a good time, but it's also just really like taxing on the body too, to just like look at your screen for a hella time. But like, there are stones out there, and I think that that's important too. That I mean, they're really hidden, and some of the challenges are really dumb, and that's what I will say. Going through the story and going through all this stuff to get stones, um, but once you finally get to that pulling, like today in the morning when we pulled, like it's just it felt good. Like I think that that's why I like the free to play that's why I mean I approach a lot of games that I play as free to play. I don't really like to spend extra money, um, on the game, and I think that that's kind of a satisfying factor. Like at least for me, that's why I think I'm enjoying the anniversary so far. Is like I worked I worked pretty like diligently to get stones. So when I got the units that I got, I felt happy
Right.
even if I didn't get the featured ones. Like it still feels good to be able to like rest on the fact that like I put that work. I mean, it doesn't feel good when you get a bunch of shit like
A bunch
characters,
of
but like
heroes.
yeah, but when you do get those units, I think that there's a different aspect there that like uh I hope that doesn't get lost. I don't know how it is for you all because y'all pay. I don't know if part of that mystique or part of that feeling gets lost. And I think that
It does.
that's what is really challenging about a game like this is that I think people sometimes can get really obsessed with trying to get units and trying to just pay their way to the top that you miss.
That's
I
me.
think, and I think that that's a part that I think the 2-year anniversary I think is really showing to me, and I hope Legends like I don't know how you tweak this because I know at the end of the day it's about money, but I think that is also a part where like I think it hasn't lived up in the sense that it feels like you can have access to this stuff and you can feel good about it as opposed to just trying to pay your way to the top, and you lose some of that
Yeah.
feeling of like I just pulled something and I just worked a couple of times, yeah, like a good amount of time to try to get this player or get this unit. um I don't know,
Don't get it wrong. Pulling units still feel amazing, especially after you experience the shaft. But it's just once you start to go for like 4, 5, 6 stars. I mean, it's great to get them, but it's not like when you first pull them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Regardless if you're
Um,
pay to play or free to play, the first time you pull a unit, because the shaft hurts when
oh, it hurts
you're
really bad.
yeah, when you're paying like 50,000 stones or CC for LF3
Say
Goku, and
3. You're not getting them.
you got that 8,
That
9,
ruins
10
your whole
star
day.
Kid Buu.
That
Yeah,
ruins your whole day.
yeah, I bet, and I think that's that's tough, man. Like that's tough. I feel for people that they spend hella money and you kind of lose that. That's what sometimes I feel like when I watch the YouTubers and they're like spending like hella stones and they just go buy characters and they just go buy characters that I'm like, wow, like I don't even have access to getting that character, but you're just bypassing it like it's
Exactly.
nothing. And I think that's I
It does
know it's
take
a part of
away.
the I know it's a part of the game, but it's something that it just doesn't sit right with me of like we just bypass that stuff in the name of trying to get like 14 stars this character. You know what I'm saying? I think it loses a part of the fun or the thrill of being able to get a character. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's I mean, you know what? Never mind. Because I was going to
Yeah, no,
compare Dokkan again,
Rambling.
but it's just
I was
no,
gonna
it's not
say, well,
rambling. It's just comparing it to Dokkan because I'm thinking about Dokkan and I'm like, I don't think that that's the same system that they're using over there. But I don't think that they should be using this system. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. Nah, I agree with you. I hear you. I totally hear you. Like there's and I will say this, Legends does a great job with their step up banners because when not
I'm a
only are you
sucker for
getting
step up banners.
yeah, not only are you getting discounted steps, but you're getting those tickets, and those tickets give you a
Well, the character pools too, they're also normally pretty recent.
yeah, they're really good. So and again, to your point, Shalene, I hate to compare it to Dokkan, but that's kind of the standard. That's the
that
reference we
is, I
have.
mean, as hard as Legends wants to fight it, that is a standard. They've created
Yeah,
that standard, and with
yeah,
the prompt for this is has it met the expectations? And I think through this
yeah,
conversation, I think at least I'm coming to terms with that. It hasn't met expectations.
yeah.
I think it
Um,
has,
uh,
but every player is different.
But
yeah, for
why though?
sure.
How?
How?
I'm
Well,
really curious
because
as
you
to like
guys,
how.
well, because PvP is different. It's the only one that you're not when you're doing PvP. You're not like, all right, you go, then I go, you go, and then I go. Or in Legends, you're just playing, PVE. It's the first game that where you're legitimately that person's thinking the same time as you are. He's watching what you're doing and he's reacting. Then you got to watch what he's doing. I think it's a no other what other game does that? That's a mobile game. Granted, it's a gotcha game, so knowing that, meaning that you're probably going to get the shaft. It's every game does that, every single game. The fact that so many complaints about this game, RNG is not going anywhere. It's gonna be part of the game. It's gonna be part of PvP.
What's RNG? Like,
Luck.
what is it?
Luck,
What?
Sometimes the
basically.
swipe will go through.
Luck.
Sometimes the swipe
Luck.
won't
Oh.
go through.
Uh-huh.
It's just a part of it. You can't control how every game runs on every phone. That's impossible. But the fact that all that lack of hype, lack of character, get people getting the shaft, it still has 5-star rating. So people are satisfied with this. So,
But I don't know about that. I don't know about that,
if
Bless.
like it's so I'm not talking about like the shaft, like people getting the shaft, and that's the reason why I've said it. I said it on the last episode. I dropped 50,000 for LF Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and I didn't get him. But that wouldn't, that's not a reason for me, at least, to think that this game hasn't lived up to expectation. Like, the reason I think it hasn't lived up to expectation, because it hasn't brought in the player base that I thought it was going to bring in and have the reception that I thought it was going to have. I thought this was going to be the standard and Dokkan was going to be chasing it. But it's been the other way around. And so why is that? This, the gameplay is great. I think the gameplay is a lot of fun. It's new. It's
well, let me
and it's
ask you this:
dynamic.
when's the last time you played Dokkan? Like actually sat down and played Dokkan?
Probably like 3-4 weeks ago.
Well, it's different, bro. Dokkan's hyped because of, for example, me. I have the Kamehameha team. Like I'm gonna be able to beat any single mission I want now at this point. That's just the way it is.
So why do you think Dokkan still smashes the charts when it comes to?
Because it's Dragon Ball Z. It's not. It's
No, but
it's,
so is Legends though. Like,
but it's different, bro. Like when you
why has Legends not overtaken Dokkan in your opinion?
well, Dokkan's a lot more established. It's a lot easier. I don't know. It's a simpler game. A lot of people are going to go to where it's easier. It's our natural instinct. Go to where it's easier. Legends, it's a very difficult game. It's a very difficult game to play. It's not a very inviting game. But if you're willing to suck it up, and I think it's a lot funner than Dokkan. When I win on Legends, I get a lot more excited than when I beat the last boss on Dokkan. That's just me. I have both accounts. I log into Dokkan every day just to get my stone, and that's it. I don't play it. I have a Kamehameha team. When they want to drop a new hype unit with the new challenge, then I'll play it. But that's about it. But that's me. That's why I said Dokkan, it's a standard, but as a whole, I mean, I don't play it at all.
Yeah, no, and you're right. Like, which game is more fun? It's Legends. Legends is more fun. Which game has the better art? Legends. Which game has the better animations? Legends. I think if you were to create a checklist and put the two side by
This
side,
game beats it. It beats all. It beats the whole.
It does.
Beats it in many areas.
Why is it not registering with the
because
player
it's
base?
It's not as simple. It's not as easy.
So why is it not? Why is it not as easy? There's a skill curve, right?
Well,
there's
the same reason that I don't play Fighter Z. Because I'm not willing to commit to the time to be a legit player on it, and I don't feel like getting my.
So are we saying that? So are we saying that the reason that it hasn't? So like, are you saying that the reason that it hasn't surpassed, let's say Dokkan, is because people aren't committing?
It's just a difficult game. It's just a lot more difficult game.
But what is Dragon Ball Legends' responsibility in bridging that gap? And I think that's what the conversation. I think at least that's what. So
tone the game down. Then it starts to get boring.
It's not to tone it down. It's not to make it easier. Like, and I want to be careful about saying easier because I think that the game is difficult. And I don't want to say like, oh, make it easy. But like, I do think that there's a responsibility on Legends parts to be able to at least create a scaffold for newer players, or else it will never surpass. And I think because we want the game to be better, and I think that's the piece here of like, has it met the expectation? And I don't think that it has, obviously, by just numbers of it. I mean, some people may just really enjoy the game, which is cool. Because it sounds to me like you really enjoy it, and
Yeah, I do, and I don't worry about their numbers. I mean, it is what it is. I'm talking about for me, like someone that what do I do every day? The numbers are cool. I mean, for example, I spent $150 on this anniversary with the sales. I got Vegito Blue to 6 stars. Now, granted, that revenue, they made $150 off of me, but that's it. I mean, that's how is that Legend's fault that I had fire luck? That's just the way it goes sometimes. On Dokkan, when LR or UI Goku dropped, I dropped 700 stones on him. I didn't get him once. I'm like, I'm not gonna play this anymore. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna log back in until I'm able to scoop back up. But with Legends,
No, and you would think most players would have your reaction, like, you know what, I'm done, I'm dropping this. And they don't. They keep going. And so everything you said is true. The game is more difficult. There is a learning curve. There's a skill gap. How does Legends bridge that skill gap? Because all you're going to do is deter players from wanting to play your game if they see that there's no way to bridge that gap. So how does Legends do it? Like I said, you embrace that tech that's been discovered truly by the player base, because it was the player base who found out how to key cancel.
You know something? Just side note, real quick. So I used to notice before when they would showcase units in the showcase. When they would drop like the hype trailer or like the release trailer with the gameplay, they used to show the units charge stepping. They stopped doing that.
They stopped. They shouldn't. They need to embrace that, and because that's the tech. That's the tech that's being used by high level players. Like, that skill gap is created by the high level players. What are those high level players doing? They're using this tech. Okay.
Trying to find any way to get an advantage.
Yeah. So, hey, new players. Yes, those guys, they're really good. They've practiced a lot. They've played a lot. But here's the tech that can help you. Here's the tech, here's the skill that you need. And we have a format for you to practice in the game. We have a tutorial for you to practice these different skills. And you're not going to get it the first time, because since it is skill based, it's going to take repetition. So when players have access, when they see a tangible tutorial, when they see an actual like manual that helps them how to get better, at that point, it's up to them to take advantage of that. And Legends is offering them, to Chiween's point, a scaffold to help these newer players, these novice players get better. And you bridge that gap, because it is more difficult. It's not just you're playing against the computer, and if you have, the best team, you win. Because in reality, because the dynamics of Legends is so, dynamic, any mistake can cost you the match. So it's very skill oriented. So help these new players attain that skill. Don't dumb the game down, because then the game's not going to be as fun. So help bridge
I think
that
that's what
gap.
makes the game fun, is that it's difficult, but there needs to be something explicitly to just acknowledge
kind of provide the players with some tools.
Yeah, with some tools, because like for you, like you said that like people find like any advantage, but that's the problem, is that there is an advantage, and some of us don't know that there's an advantage.
Here's another one that people don't know about. Bebop uses this. He frame captures people mid-range with blast cards. So when you start sidestepping, where you can't do anything, you're stuck in the animation. Those types of things, though, I mean,
that's a glitch type of thing.
No, it's just it's called frame capturing. You can do it.
It's a thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's just like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how extensive does Legends get into it, where it doesn't become overwhelming, where the guy sees like it's a pamphlet of tutorials of like, here, if you want to learn every tech in the game, because Bebop keeps discovering something new every season.
Well, at least acknowledge the main ones. I mean, sure, you're gonna run into people that are just gonna find ways to create that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that just comes with that part of the game. But at least provide something to, just give you the tools. It's up to you to build the house. And if you get frustrated and you leave the game, at least do that, because as of right now, the game, I think, can fall into a really dangerous category where you're going to create a niche clientele, or like a very specific clientele, and you're going to get stuck there.
Right.
With only certain players are gonna want to just stick it out, and people that have already been successful. And I think we all, in agreement that we want the game to grow.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, and you're exactly right. I think to FIFA, this is a game we've all played,
Yeah,
and we haven't all played fighters, but FIFA is a competitive game. I mean, that's pretty much as competitive as it gets. And it is very similar to Legends in the sense that Ultimate Team is the main moneymaker. It is PvP. They have PvE in Ultimate Team, but most people are going for PvP. They want to create teams that are willing to spend money. But FIFA gives you the skill challenges to learn the different moves, learn the different skills that, you're never going to, I mean, not never, but it's going to be very difficult, obviously, for you to be like the number one player. But at the very least, you're being equipped with the
top 20.
tools, yeah, to go and play competitively, right? You know what it is, like how to curve a shot into the far corner from outside because FIFA's showing you how to do that. You know how to execute a perfect free kick. You know how to do a certain skill move with the ball because FIFA's showing you how to do that. So FIFA, to a degree, and FIFA has its own problems. I'm not going to act like it doesn't have major ones, but it has a very similar template to Legends in the sense that it's a difficult game. It's PvP, and let's be honest, there's a pay to win aspect to it. You have to drop money.
I think that explains a lot because I never did the tutorials in FIFA.
Yeah, and
you just skim through them, and I'm like, I'm gonna learn while I play. And I learned how to do free kicks while I played. I blew those over. And I think maybe that's why Legends isn't that. I don't know. I never, like, now that you talk about the tutorials, I do remember seeing those as an option in FIFA.
Right, and at least they're an option. Now, if you don't want to, take them, and so again, has Legends been a failure? Absolutely not. I would say it's been successful. Has it lived up to the mega hype for release? I don't think it has. As much as it's my favorite mobile game, it's the one I play the most, but it has so much potential.
Yeah.
And it could just be better. It just could, if it optimized everything it had, it leveraged everything it had, I think it could just be better. Like, it has the potential to penetrate esports if it really wanted to. But,
and I think that's where we want it to go, like, to have that much reach, because it's a really dope mobile game.
First year tournament was great.
It was great.
Well, obviously they can't. I know why they can't redo it, but that's something they might want to think about for the third year.
Yeah, but sorry, Chu, when you were saying, I'll go after you. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, like, I think, just kind of harping on that too. Of like, I think, at least for me, that I'm a casual player, and like, I want the game to grow, and I want it to be accessible. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it at times it doesn't feel as accessible as it could be. But I hear Bless's point though. I think that there are people that just can just go through it, and you're just gonna learn on experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just gonna learn on that.
Sure.
But I think the majority of the world, I don't think we function in that way. And I think we have to just acknowledge that, of like, at least provide the tools, at least provide this piece, so that I at least have a shot to enjoy the game as much as you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the reality. Or maybe not even enjoy it as much as you do, but at least have some sort of success,
And the good thing is you already enjoy the game, and you're a casual player, and you don't even, or, if we're being completely transparent, you don't have the skills to, say, compete at the highest level right now, but you still enjoy the game. So imagine if you did, right? Like, imagine if you had the access to learn these skills, to bridge that gap, then you'd be able to improve your game, enjoy the game more because you'd understand it better, and have more success overall. So so Legends, it has everything at its disposal to be a the number one game. I don't see why it can't be the number one game. I mean, it's the only mobile game, well, in the anime world, I'd say, at least that I know of, that could penetrate esports. Dokkan can't do that. Blazing can't do that. Even Seven Deadly Sins, Grant Cross can't do that.
Just deleted that game.
Yeah, Final Fantasy can't do that. Ninja Tribes can't do. Like, there's so many other anime games that they
That
don't
are
even
big
have
names.
that potential to have that reach. I mean, Dragon Ball Fighters, it is an anime game, but it's played by non-anime lovers because the game is so skill oriented, and that it attracts people even outside of their normal profiled audience,
Yeah.
So the potential is there. I think, second year anniversary has been super good this first week. I hope it stays on this track. And it's good that Legends, it has the potential. So hopefully, we it comes in the same direction. I think it's trending up. I hope it continues to take steps to fully maximize what it has at its disposal. Because let me ask you guys this, Blessed, if you had to say, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot right here, but let's see how quick you are to respond. If you had to say top 3 things um, a new player to Legends needs to know, how would you advise him on what would be the first 3 things he or she has to learn?
Or her.
Yeah, he or she.
Patience.
Number 1 is patience, okay.
While fighting. Sidestep, I think, is one of the easiest maneuver to gain ki during a fight. And I hate to say ki cancel, but that thing, it's
game
crucial,
changing,
man. No. Actually, no, I take that back. The number one thing a new player should learn if you're trying to be competitive is a switch and vanish.
Yes.
Switch
That's a
and
great
vanish.
one right there.
Yeah, that one has helped me out tremendously. As somebody
Yes.
that plays it casually, like, that is a skill that I can second that skill.
That was one of the ones I learned actually from Radical. And that's one of the ones I made part of. I really do base my game off switching and vanishing.
And it made you a better player once you incorporated that.
Yep.
Right.
So I would say that switch and vanish probably the most important.
Yeah.
So patience, what was the sidestep, and then switch and vanish.
The only reason why I say sidestep is because gaining ki without charging is when you let's say you hit it's normally going to be from a strike, and then before you hit the card, like the strike card or blast card, but you swipe to the right so your character jumps, but the card's already in animation, so the guy can't get out of it. It helps you draw like 2-3 ki in between cards, keeps the combo going.
Yeah, so the reason, and I'll expand a little bit on that, Chewing, but I'm going to ask you also top 3 things. Basically, when you swipe, you generate, just depending on how good that unit's ki recovery is, you generate normally just the right amount of ki, just that little amount of ki necessary to chain another card, as opposed to just queuing everything up and going, right? So if I queue one card up, then I swipe, I get maybe 2 or 3 ki back, and that
instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row.
Yeah, that 2 or 3 ki might be just what I need to queue up my next card, and then keep going. So that's why it's so important.
Got it.
But
I think it's the easiest.
That's the way I'm hearing you, and I'm like, oh, I do that. I have to wait until all the cards are done. So yeah. No one's teaching that to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's teaching me that. This is the first time I'm hearing it about it being talked.
Because I'm not gonna say.
I don't even know how helpful it is to our listeners to, to hear. But I hope that people are getting
last
some
thing
out
you
of that.
guys want to worry about learning.
Charge step, that's the last one. But no, you're right, Chewin. I do think listeners should hear this because there are going to be new players this year, and they need to have access to these type of tech. But Chewin, this is from your experience. Top 3 things you would recommend a new player to kind of learn about the game. Everything. It doesn't just have to be PvP. Anything.
I for sure. Well, the first thing that I found it helpful, like just starting up again 2 years later, I would say would be creating a team just creating just a basic team that you like, that you feel comfortable with, and that, like, I think more importantly, that have characters that you like. I think at the core of it is just create a team that you like and just stick with that team, develop that team, and just go into battle with them. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the
And you
first
know
thing
how
that
to
I would say.
fully utilize them.
Yeah,
And
like just be an expert in that one team, even if it's a female team, even if it's a GT team, it's not even like the highest. It's just a team that is just based on a tag that you like, and just stick with it. Just work with what you got and just stick through it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what helped me. We talked about this last week, which is the future team. That future team, I really enjoyed it. And I think it's just because of that sentimental factor of, like, that was the first team that I built. And that was super helpful to me to just stick through this game. The second thing I think is the vanishing thing that you're talking about. The vanishing, like, just that skill, I think is
switch
really
and vanish.
helpful. I think has just helped me tremendously. I think
Yeah.
in getting just winning. I think in just getting up the rank. I'm still at 30, you know, but like it's still it's helped me to at least get better at the game, to feel better at the game. And I think 3, I would say is probably. I mean, I got lazy with this, but I would say just do the story, or do the just start racking up a little bit of the stones. And,
CC.
like, I
Yeah.
think
The experience playing.
I would really encourage new listeners and new people to the game to just really, it's a low stakes place to just try to get better at the game. Like,
That's
it's
true.
low stakes, especially right now with the anniversary, where you don't have to spend energy tickets on the story. It just provides you a place to just try to practice, and you don't get as frustrated with, like, losing on, like, PvP. And, like, I would actually really urge people that are new to the game to not spend money, to, like, really just grind out the stones and really get that feeling, like, just get that organic feeling of being able to pull on a banner and really feeling a sense of, like, success pulling a character, and just feel that, because I think that feeling is going to be the thing that's going to keep you going in this game. And I think that could get really lost if you just pay.
Yeah, actually, no, that's a really good point to bring up. Before you invest any money, play the game like enough to feel, hey, am I gonna play this? Because it's a difficult game. Like, if you can't enjoy the first stages of the game, like, you're like, this isn't for me, you're gonna hate yourself for spending any money on the game.
Yeah. And chewing that last point, I want to share a quick story. Like, I agree with that, because Blessed and we played Blazing for a while. And I remember when we first started back in 2017, Naruto Blazing.
I lost that account, by the way. So.
Oh, shoot.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. When we first started, well, I started maybe like a few weeks or a month before Blessed. And when he started, I was actually in Puerto Rico, and I remember him texting me because he had that was when their anniversary was happening. And during their anniversary, they dropped the Seal of Light and the Seal of Darkness, the two most insane, hypest units. I mean, there are a few other ones that are super hype as well.
But at the time.
Those were it. And he got, and we didn't spend money. Like, we were all free to play with that game. No money spent. And when he got Seal of Light, my jaw dropped to the floor. Because, like, for me, Naruto and Goku, those are my two guys. Like, I'm riding with them till the end. And so when he got Seal of Light, I showed it to my girlfriend, like, look at what this guy got. And he's rubbing it in my face. And I was
even though I just sent it to him, it just started playing.
Because I had been pulling and pulling, and I couldn't get him. And then I'll never forget. I came back from Puerto Rico. We missed the hurricane literally by a few days, by the way. But anyways, came back to Puerto Rico. I had to go to the city, and I was in BART. And I was texting, Derek was texting me his team, and it was looking stacked. And I still had like the first, the tutorial units, because we hadn't played for that long. And I was like, dang it. And it wasn't like, dang it, because Derek has them, because my team was so sorry.
I mean, Bless?
Bless, because Bless had it. Dead giveaway. Because Blessed had it.
May or may not be his name.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Go ahead.
But anyways, I'm on Bart. And then I'm like, you know what? I got 30 pearls. I'm just going to go for it. 30 pearls. Boom, I hit pull. Or I hit summon. I summon. And all of a sudden, I see that gold. What was it? It's like a gold. It's like some gold paper. And boom, Seal of Light comes up.
Uh-huh.
Seal of Light comes up. And that feeling I got when I got him, ridiculous. Like, ridiculous. I felt so good.
That's I mean, I'm telling you, and I think that's gonna be key for new players of just get that feeling, you know what I'm saying? Just get that feeling, because that's where you're gonna get that sense of joy that I think the game aims at creating. And I believe that you don't get that when you just pay and you straight out the gate just
I think because you become you start to expect it.
Right.
you become desensitized by it, and I think it even builds up a little bit of resentment. So I paid money, so I better get this.
I better get this shit.
Oh, that was me today.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is like, it could be really, it could become really toxic in the relationship with the game,
Yeah.
But that's a psychology piece, but it could become toxic in that way, where we start to expect things from this thing, and that's where I think frustration can come. So I would really encourage new players to
So don't expect anything.
don't expect anything. I think just try to enjoy the aspects of the game that you have access to, because they're not going to make it easy for you, and just try to enjoy that. And when you get that, like today, I got the Samasu. When I got it, you heard me. You heard my live reaction. That's my dog.
Which will be on the video later today.
Yeah, go. That's a quick plug. Go check out that
Spoiler
video.
alert. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Dang it. Oh,
Uh-huh.
no, but yeah, no, it's true. It's true, man. And my top 3, you guys are gonna have to watch my video, because I'm gonna create a video on that. So I say we wrap it up. You guys good with that?
Yeah. What time did we have? How long was it? Is that? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. It was good. Solid hour. So yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in again. My name is One Kick Man. I'm joined by Chiween, Blessin. You can find me at _One Kick Man on Twitter. Bless, where can they find you?
At Blessin #7.
Okay. Chiween is working on setting up that Instagram account.
Still lagging.
Once he has that thing, we'll make
we'll be live.
Exactly. So
takes time.
Yeah. So you guys go ahead, leave us questions down in the comments below. Leave us any topics you'd like us to talk about in the future. We'd love to hear your feedback. We're gonna set up our Instagram, our Twitter page. We're gonna have all of that set up, and we're gonna put it down in the description. So yeah, any closing thoughts, boys?
I can't wait to run this future team, bro.
Let us know how this second anniversary has been going for y'all. Let us know.
Has it lived up to the hype for you guys?
Yeah, has it lived up? Yeah. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear what y'all think about where the game is, and how we can keep this conversation going.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. With
all right.
That, we're out.
Later.
Deuce.
Ninja.